Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the Rational Investors Crypto Countdown! Crypto Top 100 Review. Crypto Schmipto tastes great. Crypto, can't wait! Here we are! Party! It's Wednesday night! Talking crypto. Party. Welcome back to the Frivolity, 6 o'clock here on the West Coast. Hey, look at that, YouTube's running. I don't even think there's even anybody over there. Crypto Countdown! But anyway, most important thing in this game is consistency, reliability, dependability. So, more than happy just to record a session. Actually, maybe it'll just be me, Ben, and Paul here, and the three of us will just chit-chat about some crypto. And you can watch it through the week at your leisure. Maybe take some notes, see what happened. Oh, no, there's somebody. Oh, Jesus, here they come. Damn it. So, a couple people here now in the YouTube page. Hello, JB. Hello, who's that? Raphael, I think I pronounced that right. Hello, John. All right, so there are a few people. Crypto Nut. Oh, boy, there's a whole bunch of people over there now. All right, well, anyway. Welcome back to the Frivolity. I just threw the link in the lounge, so by all means, TRIers, check that out there, the link there. So welcome back to the show. Wednesday evenings. It is, where are we here? 20th of April. Just had our big U.S. tax deadline, so hope all you Americans paid your taxes. And I'm not even sure how this works. I don't even know whether I want to ask or not. But, Ben, you can feel it coming. A big smile on his face. Well, I'm just going to assume Ben and the IRS are nice and happy, and they're buddies, and they're all tickety-boo. I don't know what happens. We have actually, it's really cool, our latest addition to... Oh, actually, what am I doing? Why don't we say some backup mode? Hey, Ben, how's it going? Here's Ben, our co-host. He's been on the show for a full year now. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking crypto, and yeah.
Awesome. Hope everything's going well in the great state of Florida. Heard the great state of Florida is actually going to start making Disney pay taxes on land and stuff. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I heard you mention that on the show. I didn't realize that they were kind of running their own.
Yeah, they're
look into that. Yeah,
I suppose that's the irony of it all, right? Is what I guess, Jesus, that's like 40, 50 years ago now, eh? But maybe even more than that. But I remember growing up, man. Half of the joke was they used to sell swampland in Florida to people that were a bit naive, just because there's so much land there that you can't really do anything with it. And I think that's why Disney went down there, and he literally dredged out a swamp. I think that's what...
yeah, he was a visionary for sure.
Yeah, so anyway, so he got the cheap land to build Disney World, I guess, but now the state's saying, hey, we're a little bit tight for money, so sorry, Disney, I gotta start ponying up. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, and our newest addition to the team, from literally the other side of the world, for me, I suppose. We've got Paul here. Paul's checking in from downtown. Where are you? I don't know. All right, do you even want to say? Anyway, how are you today, Paul?
Good morning.
Good morning. It's middle of the night for him. So, but Paul's checking in from Europe. So we have a European participant on the call here. So it's kind of cool. So you could probably hear the sleep in his voice still. I was kind of teasing him a little bit earlier. But nonetheless, we should have a fun evening. And I don't know whether the audience heard, but let's give Paul a chance to say something without Brian butting in. How are you today, Paul?
Yeah, just waking up.
All right. Well, if you need to nip out for a smoke and all that. And I suppose, did you have good sleep? Was it good sleep?
Yeah.
There you go.
Like a baby.
Pardon me?
I sleep like a baby.
There you go. I swear, Paul he's doing some damn fine trading. He's trading like a badass baby right now. I'll tell you that much. So great to have Paul on the team, and also got a little bit of the European perspective on our crypto show here. So super psyched about that. And of course we had I'm not sure. I think Nick is going to sort of float in and out over the next little while. So if he does participate, awesome. We're super lucky to have him on board. Derek, I think, is going to step away from the show for the next little while. So best wishes, Derek. Hope everything's going okay on the home front. And, of course, both gentlemen, you're always more than welcome to pop in and participate. But we are looking for a fourth for our bridge game. Kind of tough to play bridge with 3 people. But if you are a TRI site member and you feel as though you know your crypto and you wouldn't mind participating in the conversation, the one thing I need is, I can do charts in my sleep. Ironically enough, the stuff that I talk to you guys all about is really nothing ever changes with that. But I don't really know the fundamentals too well of crypto, so I like to lean on the panel to tell me, like, what the heck's the story here. So anyway, welcome back to the show, everybody. I have a couple beverages here, so talk so much through these darn shows. I got to remember to drink beverages and stay hydrated. So this is our fun little app that Ben put together. Geez, a good year or so ago now. And if you feel like it, you can throw it on your I guess your cell phone. I don't know whether can you do this on computers, the QR codes. I think it's just for cell phones and notepads and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Unless you kind of hold your laptop up and take a photo.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, you could do that. It'd be awfully tough to hold up this damn AMD machine, though. It's huge. And all 3 screens? Can you imagine having to hold the damn thing up?
Yeah, you might be better off just typing in the URL. It might be a bit easier.
Considering the URL actually is not that tough. Good point. All right, anyway, point of the matter here is Ben's got this awesome little app up and running that basically summarizes our little spreadsheet. I don't know whether we have the Bitcoin sort of prognostication sheet on, but I believe that these are the charts and stuff that are on the app, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. All right. So I think we kind of are humming and hawing about the direction we wanted to take this. We did sort of like user feedback for a week or so. I think actually when I can't remember, was it just you and I were doing a show? We were just like, screw it, let's just do whatever the hell the audience wants. I can't remember, but anyway, Ben's actually now in charge of the spreadsheet since Nick's hung up his boxing gloves. So we had a little chat, and what I think we're going to just try and do is just pick up from where we left off and just see if we can bang out as many of these names as possible and just sort of keep recycling through the list to try and cover as many of these sort of top 100 kind of coin names as possible. I'm sure they're constantly floating up and down, and one's getting better and worse and on the sort of rankings, but I'll leave it up to Paul and Ben here if they want to change this, add names, take names out. It's up to you guys. So I guess the first thing we should start off with is our fun little crypto forecast from last week. Always fun to check in to see how embarrassing calling markets is. In fact, somebody shared just a FYI for you guys. Actually, look at that. You can fit it all onto one screen there. On the site, somebody shared this gentleman. And, hey, it happens with everybody, so it's almost kind of funny when you get into this sort of, behavioral pattern. This guy here is a good demonstration, this Jeremy Grantham. He was calling a super bubble and crash of the entire Western economic infrastructure world go to hell. Wait a minute, it didn't happen. And it's funny, in this particular video, the interviewer guy's like, well, why should we be working with you? You suck, man. You can't predict the future. I don't mean to be rude, but I would say actually 99.99999% of the public cannot predict the future, and don't get into that business. It's a waste of time. And if anything, this fun little matrix is a good demonstration of that. But anyway, I'm all about self-punishment. I'm all about masochism. Masochism? Yeah, I think that's right. I'm all about making myself look foolish. But also, too, if anything, I think this is a good sort of lesson that, we at TRI, we're not going to bullshit you. In fact, we run a day trading room, and 2 days in a row I had to book fucking. 2 days in a row I had to book losing sessions for my day trading plan. So, and I had to basically talk on the daily video, like, "Here, Brian lost money again today. Oh, well, way to go, Brian." So, if anything, I like this because it's a very real, sort of lighthearted look at the world. It's very difficult to predict the future. So, with that said, let's get into who was predicting what and whether they were accurate or not. And so, like I said, it's always fun to check in. So, first and foremost, we'll start with Paul. A nice little piece of humble pie for him to eat. Paul was looking for a nice little rally, and we actually, I guess, finished unchanged on the week. That's surprising. We don't get too many unchanged weeks. There's one there. There's one there, and I guess this is like sort of less than a 5% movement. Just even, and I guess is that 50? I guess that's just going back to September. I guess we didn't do this back. I guess that's when we started. Was back in June. Interesting. For some reason, I thought we were doing this back in the spring, but okay. All right. So, point of the matter here, we had a 1% movement in price. And Paul was looking for a slight rally. Well, it's not bad. I think it was up a little bit higher there. If we had done this survey probably like a couple hours, well, even like 6 hours ago, I think probably Paul would have won. Let's see, where should I do this? Not there. Yeah, I guess over here. Actually, another place I like to look at the corn. I like to watch the futures markets, but I'm a little nut that way. So 41.5, and 7 days ago, once upon a time, where are we here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess that was in that area there, right? Yeah, according to the futures, wasn't it? Actually, isn't that interesting? I think according to these, so we must have done it when it was up here, eh? Does that look about right? But which market are you using to judge us? Maybe using the futures isn't a good idea. Where is my crypto community? Yeah, here. Which market is this? Is this Stamp?
I think we're doing it to the nearest 100, so it should be pretty close across everywhere.
So there's 7 bars, yeah. All right, let's go like this. So our sine wave. So I was actually looking for a pretty big sort of pullback here. Well, interesting. So even off of here, that would actually have been a pretty big up. So I guess we went off of this date here. Was it the 13th? That must have been it. Last meeting was 13th. All right. So Nick, I guess Nick did his uber bullish vote. Was that done facetiously as a joke? Maybe because he was thinking that the market would go down. I don't know. There's Ben. Ben actually looks like Ben got a winner. Nice call, Ben. Ben's getting pretty good at this prediction game. And the old Beamish came in with an unchanged. But it's fascinating because I think Paul would have actually won had we just been like literally 12 hours later. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I guess we were pretty close there. So interesting how we went down into this cycle trough. Then we cycled back up. So I was kind of looking for some sort of counter trend rally. It looks like it came awfully late. And I would still actually expect to see the market come off here a chunk. And, you hear that jerk over there in Eastern Europe is now launching intercontinental ballistic missiles to try and intimidate the West? Oh, this guy, he just never ends. Anyway, so get ready, folks. I'm sure there's going to be some fireworks. Also, too, I heard that in something, I think it was like the G20, all of the finance ministers, everybody in unison just walked up and left the room as soon as the Russians started speaking. So lots of tension in the world. Don't be surprised if that story keeps twisting and turning, and it probably is going to dictate. It's interesting, like stuff like this, because I think there's a very high correlation between the Nasdaq and Bitcoin right now. Probably not a bad idea to take the opportunity and just look at this. So there's Bitcoin, and then if we go, how do I do that? Compare. I don't know. Just do the QQ. Well, yeah, I guess we'll do the QQQs. This would be NASDAQ 100, though. I wonder if it's the NASDAQ Composite or whether it's the NASDAQ 100. Composite. Yeah, there's the NASDAQ Composite. Put that away. Whoops. That away. And then maybe let's put this on a new scale on the other side. There we go. Oh wow, look at that correlation, eh? So Nasdaq's working a nasty little double top, sort of making lower highs and lower lows. I mean, not to sort of get too far derailed. We should try to keep this just crypto. But, we had a pretty big, one of the big FANG stocks is disappointing immensely. Actually, really good analogy that all of these guys that became like superstar fund managers, like the latest one, that Shack Pack guy. I think a lot of his SPAC names have completely blown up. But the one I'm thinking about in particular is guy Bill Ackerman, Pershing Capital. Of course, he bought Netflix at the bottom, so as long as the damn thing keeps rallying. Actually, no, he didn't even buy at the bottom. He came in right at the top, too. But it's interesting to watch these guys that were sort of $1 million fund managers, like Kathy Woods. She's a really good example. And I often tell people that, these styles, they come and go. If you happen to invest in alternative technologies and stuff like that, we just went through a cycle where that was really popular. And now, past a year or so, with the rising interest rate environment, all of that's being taken back, and now those fund managers are looking kind of goofy. So I thought it was interesting, the latest one, Bill Ackerman, everybody was in love with Pershing Capital forever. Oh, he's so smart, he's so wonderful. And now he actually said, oh, I made a really bad mistake investing in Netflix, and he had to take the loss, and now his fund is underwater for the year. What a surprise. I mean, that's just the way these fund manager games go. Anyway, point I guess I would say here is while NASDAQ and while tech and, to a certain degree, while Bitcoin is under pressure here, a lot of the sort of darlings of the investment world from a while ago are starting to unwind now. And, of course, you remember Mr. Dog Money. I'm a little disappointed that Mr. Dog Money was not held to account for Dog Money touting and all that, but for some reason the guy seems to be made of Teflon these days. If you bought your dog money on Alan's tout, well, I sure hope you're doing okay with that. So anyway, interesting conversation. We have been watching this more and more and more of late. And if anything, this kind of makes sense. Where Bitcoin, in real terms, this is a really cool image. But in real terms, Bitcoin's about the only asset that's really dramatically outperformed this last cycle. Everything else is, there's stocks. Ironically enough, since the dot-com boom, stocks have done nothing. Wait a minute, I thought stocks are at all-time highs and the economy's booming. Nope, that's not true. It's so funny. Listen to the commodity bulls. If somebody pulled up a crude oil chart and said, how's crude oil doing? Is it at all-time highs? Actually, it isn't in reality. So that's the irony of this stupid world. The way the banksters have completely and utterly pulled the wool over the entire public's eyes. It's shocking what they've gotten away with here. But typical banksters. Remember, Rothschilds himself, and if you haven't heard this before, write it down. Rothschilds himself said, one of the Rothschilds a million years ago, I don't care who's in charge of a country. If I control the country's money supply, I'm in control of the country. And I think that that's exactly what's happening here. People actually believe that these people that are sent to like Washington and stuff actually have control over a country. As an example, the United States. And the irony of it all is that could be anything further from the truth. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make with all this is actually if we look, since there's 2011, if we actually just adjust all these charts to sort of 2011, there's investing in the stock market. Okay, well, that's not bad. There's investing in Bitcoin. And actually, I just heard that, I didn't realize it. Max Kaiser actually said that he had actually gone long Bitcoin at like $1 a Bitcoin or something like that. So I thought he was one of the sort of latecomers to the party, but I can understand his over-the-top ostentatiousness, given if he did get long from Bitcoin from $1. Fun guys like Da Vinci. All you gotta do is just buy something at the beginning of the cycle, and there you go. But here's the kick in the pants, right? I mean, if you were an oil baron over that same time period, you got absolutely destroyed. If you were a natural gas baron, boom. If you were a gold baron, and this, I love this because this just pisses the gold bugs off to no end. I mean, look at the difference in performance. I'm gonna buy Bitcoins. I'm gonna buy gold. How have you done? I mean, it's like literally night and day. And yes, silver is just as bad. Silver doesn't look any better than gold. I know a lot of people are like, but wait, silver's awesome. So no, it isn't. High-grade copper. I mean, look at that. There's basically the building out of the Chinese into their Olympics. And look how they basically pulled the floor out from underneath the copper market. And we still really haven't we're a shadow of our former selves in copper. People talking about agricultural commodities. There's the wheat market, folks. Everybody's getting all excited about Ukraine. Oh, by the way, I thought it was interesting. I found out that Ukraine's actually, I don't know whether you guys know this. Paul, you probably know this. Ukraine actually said that they planted 80% of their wheat crop. They actually got 80% of the crop in the ground. So go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even in the times of war, they can still plant their crop. And I thought it was funny. I heard a commentator say recently that even Russia wasn't going to fuck with the Ukrainian, because Ukraine is technically, quote-unquote, the breadbasket of Europe. That's where most of the grain in Europe is grown. And even Russia themselves, they weren't going to screw with the grain crop. I thought that was fascinating. So anyway, really good, it's actually helpful to see an image like this to realize how much Bitcoin has actually outperformed here. So it's quite startling, really. The only asset that's done anything, really, over the past 10, 15 years, except for, of course, some of these FANG stocks, they probably also look like this. But they're starting to get taken apart one by one by one. So I think even the FANG names are starting to come back down to earth. Anyway, I'm not quite sure where I was going with all of that. Oh yeah, I was talking about Bitcoin and NASDAQ correlation. I suppose the NASDAQ's gone up quite a bit as well. So there's the NASDAQ's performance. And I guess what's scary about this, whether it be Bitcoin or whether it be the NASDAQ, I mean, what we like to try and teach people is institutions, by definition, buy down markets. And the public, unfortunately, usually chases and buys up markets. You could probably make the argument there is your long-term trend line on the NASDAQ. So can you have the tenacity just to wait for some sort of crazy ass pullback just to trendline support? I think it's in your best interest. I'll tell you. If anything, this kind of looks like a shoulder, head, shoulder, making a big honk, and head and shoulders. Usually head and shoulders target is the distance from the top of the head down to the neckline projected lower, which would be something like down into here. And then if you got some crazy ass spike, keep in mind this is like a clothesline, so you might have some crazy tails that come all the way down into here. So, oh boy, that's an ugly looking chart, eh? And of course, I've talked to you guys lots about this, and if you don't learn from this, please, well, there's not much I can do to help you if you don't learn from this. But I've been in this funny little Bitcoin game for quite some time now. I've been playing this Bitcoin game now for probably 8 years or so. We started, I actually was a prop firm trading crude oil. Actually, here, I got to put this up here. Make sure the OBS is actually seeing the screen. And I came to Bitcoin back here. And actually, this is the best one to use, back here. So, I officially am long Bitcoins from right... where did we buy our Bitcoins? Right, I think right in here. I took one student's tuition. It was actually the very first program that we taught. So I took one student's tuition, $460, and bought a 1.25 Bitcoins. We used to teach the level 1 course for $500. What a steal. And you know, I took that 1.5 or 25 Bitcoin and you know, had fun in the altcoin market and turned it into gazillions and gazillions of Bitcoins. Well, not gazillions. I think the top we hit was about 30 or 40 Bitcoins I turned that into. And taking money out all along the way. I think, ironically enough, that portfolio, even right now, after taking a couple hundred G's out of the market, I think it's still sitting at about $200,000-$300,000. Just sitting there with just dormant Trex account stuff. Good old Trex. I wonder if Trex makes it through this next call. That'll be really interesting to see. See what the website says. We even have this little crypto portfolio that just keeps track of that. Let's see what it's sitting at now. Yeah, geez, 288 G's. Just sitting there. So this is sort of like dormant, just having fun. All the poop coins. UBIC. Thanks, Alex. Eventually it'll come back. I know, I have confidence. Eventually. Just hope they don't have to turn back into Jumbox before that. And actually, there's one coin on there on UBIC platform. I have always said that thing should be a gold mine, but it's just sitting there. They're just not. I guess they're just not touting it. But anyway, so the point that I would just make with all this is this is interesting. This is the first cycle that I came into the market. No, is it? No. That's the first cycle I came into the market. I just noticed these. I find it fascinating that from about peak to trough, in this particular case, it was, this is back, 13, 14, 15. This is about 58 bars, just about a year. And then about a year and a half or so until you actually start getting some signs that the market's actually bottomed. From the bottom to the halvening, about 75 bars, 78 in particular here. And really, once the halvening event happens, I think this is your face rip part of the market. Once the halvening happens, that's sort of like hitting the official reset button. Once that's happened, then it can start going through its insane face rips to find its new local high. So if we fast forward to the next cycle, I really don't see anything new that happens here. It's actually quite cliche. So you can see about a year from top to bottom. About 75 bars from bottom to this thing. Actually, there's, I think, its local halvening event. Interesting. About 17 bars here to actually put in the W and start actually moving higher in earnest. I don't know whether we actually had the reload zone pullback trade. I guess that was our Mountain Man trade, right? Okay, so yeah. So, there's this one took 25 bars, but roughly, in that window. And then the Mountain Man trade, the reload zone trade. I remember I talked about this. This was the second Silk Road auction, government auction. But the whole tone of the market changed around this event. This was in November of 15. So 14, really crappy year. And it, just put it this way, if the year ends in an even number, odds are it's going to be a crappy year. If it ends in an odd number, like 15, odds are it's actually going to be probably a good year. And so, I've seen that around these cycle peaks. So like 13, odd year, good year. 14, even year, bad year. Then we go to the next one. So you can see there's the bottom. Again, hopefully you see that these boxes look very, very similar. Then 21, odd year, good year, following the halvening. Boom, up we go. 22, bad year. And also too, and this is sort of a side, if you don't know this, of course all site members are like, oh Brian, why are you putting us through this torture, man? We hear about this on a daily basis. But two things that kind of are a little bit worrisome this particular year. First, this is a U.S. election year. So how does sort of risk assets often do through U.S. election years? With a Democrat president midterm, that's this dark dotted line. Not so good. And sort of like as of April, May, tops come into risk assets. We work our way all the way through this sort of congressional election buildup. The Fed, of course, doesn't want to be perceived as influencing the election, so they're going to be cranking interest rates up as much as they possibly can a good 6 months ahead of the event. So that's the environment that we're heading into right now. You've heard all the Fed and all the central bankers. It's almost laughable listening to these puppet finance ministers of these countries. In my country, the leader is technically the love child of the Cuban dictator. And the funny thing is, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because, man, he sure is acting like a little despot. But the point is that he's appointed a finance minister of my country that has absolutely zero experience actually working in the financial services industry. She has no education in the financial services industry. Why would you put somebody like that with no experience whatsoever in the industry in charge of the finance department? Well, maybe it's because the banking industry that basically owns the government wants something very specifically done and they need a puppet to push around. So now what you're hearing from these mouthpieces is inflation is all because of the Ukraine-Russian situation. That's it. Mr. Putin, 100% to blame. Come on, what a joke. Anyway, if you don't believe politics runs this whole damn thing, yeah, I got a bridge. I got some land to sell you down in Florida, right, Ben?
Yeah.
There he is. He's still with me. Hey, Paul, are you still awake?
Yeah.
Hey, there he is. Good. Speaking of politics, we don't even want to ask Paul about politics. That's dangerous.
Oh,
All right, so the point of the matter here is midterm election, and what I'm worried, and of course keep in mind, Canada is a puppet. Our leader would like to believe that Canada is actually going to push around the United States. It doesn't work that way. Canada is quite literally the supermarket to the U.S. Economic engine. Now, it turns out that the U.S. economic engine has gone through about a 5-10 year reorganization here. You've seen quantitative easing, all that crap, right? U.S. housing market. I might argue that countries like Canada and Russia, I would argue yes, Australia, all the big commodity countries, they never did have a great financial crisis. My hunch is they are going through their great financial crisis now. And it doesn't surprise me that the banksters have basically taken full control of this government, and what they want is what will happen here. The Great Reset. Thank you, Klaus. Love you dearly. Okay, so the point of the matter here is Fed's going to be cranking rates up here as fast and as much as they can ahead of this U.S. election. And I might even argue that into the U.S. election, they would like to get the inflation genie back in the bottle so that they can reinstate their leftist, socialist, big, government, big banking industry cartel running the government, who controls the money supply, controls the government, all that. They want to keep that agenda going. So we'll see how that goes. My hunch, though, is I actually think that the U.S. government's actually going to swing back more conservative, more right-wing. And we might actually, Mr. Biden might have actually a pretty challenging last couple of years in office. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Probably the thing that is jumping out at me the most here, though, is, and actually I thought I had it here. Oh, well, I guess two things. So to sort of reiterate, what do midterm election years kind of look like? Well, you can do this decennial report where it's just years that end in 2, so like 12, 22, 02, 92, 82, 72, 62, blah, 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 blah. Take an average, and again, you can kind of see that same image. Years that end in 2, well, they kind of look like this because a lot of midterm U.S. election years are 2s. So, point that I would just make is trough, middle of the summer. If we think about that election, Fed wants to get all their business done ahead of time. They've also said, too, that most of the year-over-year comparisons are pretty nasty here. But then once we get through midsummer, the year-over-year comparisons get better, and then sort of the textbook inflation numbers will start calming down a bit. But what I wanted to show you, but I don't see it on here, it's a little bit disturbing, is really what I think is going to be driving this next, here it is. And Josh even put together, this is a great image. This was Mr. Benner, Samuel Bender, I think. He drew up this chart like literally forever ago, like incredibly forever ago. Like literally like 200 years ago, he drew this chart up. And to be this spooky accurate, 2019 was your cycle peak. And of course, we all remember Cool Kelly Loeffler and the horrendous options expiry into that January 2020. I mean, absolute crony capitalism 101. And literally, we've done nothing but just, crap out since then. And notice, the bottom of this cycle, 2023. Ugh, yuck. So, put it all together, I'm not really overly optimistic. And if anything, remember I said, years that end in even years, especially in this crypto market, if you believe in these 4-year cycles, you just got to cool your jets through this. And this is an insanely volatile asset. They always say what goes up usually comes right back down. And, if you're seriously thinking about investing in crypto, I have these public shows on Sundays and Wednesdays. I try to give as much free content as possible. This is the only gift that I have in this world. I'm not that good of a husband, obviously. Everybody knows my story. I don't even think I'm that good of a business partner. I mean, I think my business partners put up with me. I'm a loudmouth. I'm a know-it-all. This is as close as Brian gets to hanging out with the ladies. I'm a chick magnet. That's about the best I can do. So I don't have ladies dripping off of me. I got chicks, but no ladies. But, what can I do? What's the gift that I can give to this world just to try and make this life somewhat justifiable? Just try and learn it. I mean, if these images don't show you, for Pete's sake, please. And like I said, I just keep doing these free videos on YouTube and stuff, swearing like a sailor and all that. A gentleman, Simon Dixon, who I actually think is like one of the sort of backbones of the entire crypto universe. You don't really hear him talk too much publicly anymore, though. He was the guy who single-handedly saved Bitcoin, I think, back during the Phoenix hack there years ago. But every time I ever hear him talk on it, he says, you want to make this really easy. It's really, really simple. Anytime Bitcoin corrects from its major cycle peak, 70 to 80%, well, it's time to start buying. So you can see 70 to 80%. I love 78.6. That's one of my favorite fibs to trade off of. Boom. What a surprise. Then the next cycle, 70 to 80% correction. Look at that beautiful double bottom. Boom. And then, of course, this was also a 70 to 80% correction just of this range here. Backed it up. And, you know, I tell you guys this in the public, but I'll just say it again just to reiterate. If you ever see your asset that you're interested in selling off, and they're not even talking about your asset, it's something like some crazy Eastern Europeans going around murdering people, or it's some crazy Asian sickness that's escaped from a lab and it's killing millions of people around the world. Nothing to do with Bitcoin whatsoever. That is a gift. And of course, I used to have an old site co-host who actually stepped up, and we famously made reference to his trade. And you tell me, if you did one thing and one thing only, I bought 88.6 off of this range. I mean, you could. This is better, way better than any kind of like Kathy Woods, or what was that guy that I just made reference to, Bill Ackerman, or you know, Allen and his damn Doge tote and stuff. You know, that's the shit, man. Learn that, and you'll do perfectly fine in this world. So there's my gift to you. All right, have a good night, everybody. I'm done. Just buy 78.6s. So here we are, and I don't know, you tell me, does that look like 70-80% correction of the recent range? There's 70-80% way down there. Now, the interesting thing about this image is, it's interesting, Mr. Novogratz. One guy that I highly respect in this space is Mike Novogratz. I think he's loaded up on Luna through his Galaxy Digital. He was suggesting all along here that there should be some sort of pivot here in the 30s. What I'm worried I think is going to happen here, for whatever it's worth, is I think we're in this cycle. Well, maybe it's a little bit of the same. But I do like this kind of thinking right here. I don't think we're in this same cycle, but I like this thinking where we stab down, stab down, stab down, stab down, and people go, yeah, you know what, that's probably a good floor. And I remember I went to Europe through this and just talked to people, and they all just sort of assumed, you know, 6,000, it's good cost of production. At the time, and it's so funny, of course, you know, as price comes down here, it's funny listening to guys talking about cost of production, and every time we break to new lows, they go, oh, no, okay, no, this is the cost. No, this is the cost of production. No, this is it. All I'm going to say, you want a nice, simple rule to keep you honest here? Wait for that 70-80% correction. And then what I've noticed, and I noticed it happened, I think this is where Microsoft got into Bitcoin over here, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was somewhere around here. And this was the Mike Hearn Rage Quit. And as soon as we got down into this area here, all of a sudden people started talking about 51% attacks, 51% attacks. And I think that is your cue that the bottom is very close for Bitcoins. I also noticed, and it didn't happen so much, but I did notice that when we started to get down into here, into this area, started to hear people, slight rumblings, but started to hear people talking about 51% attacks, 51% attacks. So, I guess maybe the first reference, I don't know whether I screwed that up, sorry, I might have. Hyperwave. Yeah, well, you remember when they were doing the hyperwave, and the poor guy, that Tyler Jenks, he actually died. Yeah, okay, so I did make the reference. So 51% attack, 70-80% correction. Unfortunately, I remember through this. Do you remember everybody and their brother? In fact, Tone Vase. Remember Tone Vase? Right through here, he was saying, Bitcoin's got to go to $1,000. It's got, and they actually directly quoted the Tyler Jenks guy saying it has to go back to 1,000. That it has to go there before it recorrects, and of course, it never did it? So, one thing you can almost always set your watch to is if you go on social media and everybody is saying one thing, odds are the market's going to do something exact opposite. It drives you crazy. It's half of the reason why we do what we do. We have to train ourselves to buy down markets and sell up markets because in this kind of a market, everybody and their brother is we're all going to get rich. So what do you have to do? You have to go, I'm going to just wait. I'm not going to spend my money. That's just asking for trouble. And I hate to say it, folks, but same thing here. And what really bummed me out, this is what really bummed me out is, I poured my soul into this website through these periods. As I told you, this level 1 course, I could easily go to Wall Street and pay $10,000, $20,000 for this level 1 course. Easily, that we charge, that we teach at TRI. Easily. If we just had people that had fancy, university degree credits, Harvard, Princeton, whatever, who were the instructors, it would be the exact same information. It's just hooty tooty, nose to the air, and you pay a shitload of money. But the information is exactly the same. Anyway, point is, I invested my heart and soul trying to teach all the people to trade, and none of the principles even now have changed at all. And yet, through this event right here, one of the guys that, a lot of people on the site really worked hard to try and train him, get him to the point where he was actually making good investment decisions. We even actually named a setup off of him because he worked really, really hard to vet this setup out, and it works really well. At this point here, even he got into, technical analysis doesn't matter, just buy and you'll get rich. And it's like, oh, man. It drives you nuts. I don't know. I think I got through to Paul. Watching him trade on a daily basis is an absolute joy. What do you think, Ben? Have I convinced you not to buy up markets like this?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Good. That's a nice simple answer. Yeah, I know. Frog Z, that I made reference to Mr. Ackerman earlier. I thought that was kind of funny. So it just goes to show, hey, all fund managers, nobody fucking walks on water. We're all just schlubs in the market trying to do our thing. Most important thing with all of that, don't take too much risk. And for God's sakes, don't buy up markets. You look at that silly... this is supposed to be a crypto show, so we won't go too far off on that. But, like I said, my gift to all of you is just simply, for God's sakes, or not God, for JoJo's sake, you got no business coming in and buying an asset after it's done this. That's ridiculous. Let's change it to a monthly chart. And the problem is that it's so tempting. Oh, this is just going to keep going on forever and ever and ever. But eventually, one day, all of these damn things, they have their day of reckoning and all hell breaks loose. Interesting to see that even on this push to new high, because I think he even said he came in and bought right here. But notice everybody at TRI should have called Bill up. Hey, Bill, what the fuck are you doing buying in a market with Willie stupidly overbought? And then what's really interesting is that I teach you guys about bearish momentum divergences. This thing was breaking down on a monthly basis? What do you think you're supposed to do? Everybody at TRI knows what to do if you see like a 4-hour bearish divergence come in. Sharky, you want to help people over on YouTube with your little GIF? I don't know actually if he still has it around. We always do this, and actually, what am I doing? Fuck, I'm just blabbing away here. Let's get to what we're supposed to be doing here. Sorry, everybody. You should never buy that. That's just dumb. Okay, so here we are. Bitcoin tastes great. We actually just fired a Empire top here. Yuck. I don't think we're ready to break down here, though, because this is what I think's actually going on. I don't know. Call me crazy. I still think that we're in this 13-14. So remember we said odd numbers, great. Even numbers, ugh. And literally, we should pretty much put in a bottom in like January of 23. Remember I showed you the Benner cycle. It troughs in 23. So what's fascinating about this is, notice, trough September, peak April, trough July, peak November, trough February. I suppose you could drag that all the way into early April there. Trough February, early April, somewhere in all that. So I actually think, and our recent rally here makes a lot of sense. I actually think there's some sort of rally attempt going on here into sort of early May, June period. Now, once that happens, oh boy, all bets are off. There's going to be a bit of a slog here to get into the end of the year. So, as a result, I haven't been doing a hell of a lot of buying. In fact, the buying has been very minimal. And also, too, whatever buys I have been doing, I've actually been saying, I still think we're heading lower. I'm not in a huge hurry. So let's make sure that we're doing like the nanny nibble type risk management, little old lady risk size strategies, and then also mapping out what would be my purchase level. So a good example of that right now is Coin, because I wouldn't mind having a position in that company. I think it's a Wall Street darling, and I think it's basically rigged. It's gonna, if any of the American public is going to play in the cryptocurrency space, I think they're going to be quote unquote highly encouraged to do so in a very regulated fashion, like the way they're setting up Coinbase. I actually get the feeling what I think is going to happen here is, you guys have probably seen this image lots of times from me in the past. I actually think that there is going to be some sort of quote-unquote Bretton Woods event, probably in the next maybe 3 years, 4 years. And I wouldn't be surprised, the way that I listen to all of the talking heads, and more importantly, all of the sort of bankster officials, they like Bitcoin. I never, ever hear any of them talking negatively about Bitcoin. I hear Elizabeth Warren going off about how she doesn't like the ETH fees for DeFi. I hear about NFTs trading at absolutely horrendous valuations that are classic, like Tulips scenario from the Netherlands. But I don't hear anybody bitching or complaining or dogging Bitcoin. So that tells me that I think the 1%, they have, and frankly speaking, I think from day one, remember, the 1%, they always figure out ways to shelter themselves. Don't kid yourself. I actually think, and I conjecture about this on the site. Where's that image? Here. This is not an accident what you see here. Klaus and all of the sort of cronies, they know what the hell they're doing here. They're basically destroying the purchasing power and the standard of living of the Western society. That's what's going on here right now, folks. Make no mistake about it. It's really, really simple. Fascinating how Bitcoin completely shelters you from all of that. And what's interesting about this is a lot of the sort of Bitcoiners are sitting here going, hey, look at me, I got fuck you money because I'm so rich for Bitcoin, when really you're not. What's going on here, ironically enough, is your net worth is actually staying the same. It's just everything else. If I had all my money in gold, I'm just literally seeing my purchasing power getting wiped out here over the past decade. Even stocks, for that matter, they're not really doing that great. And some of the lovely ones, like we said, natural gas. There's George Bush and his family in the oil business. How's that going for you? So I don't think this is an accident. I think this is actually, I've always said that I believe that Bitcoin is a CIA pet project. And I believe that, believe it or not, the 1%, the banksters, they like this story. And probably the easiest way, if you ever listen to Michael Saylor, I don't know whether he's going to make money for his shareholders or not. That's another conversation all down the road. He does that. He's really, really good at hyping up at the very top of markets. Because keep in mind, he came into the dot-com boom and ran his stock up here. I mean, look at this. Woohoo! There's Michael Saylor in his youth. Now he's an old man, basically running the same fund. Nothing's changed here. And he's doing all the same things. I mean, there's no difference here. But what's interesting is he has interesting podcasts. And it looks to me like this could easily make another leg higher here and fill up the gaps from way back when. But he makes an interesting interesting take on that. He's sort of going right at industry and saying, you know what, I'm not going to talk to the public. I'm going to talk to industry. And this here, Silvergate, this is a bank that was put together to specifically service the crypto market. Now, you tell me, bank, right? This is federally registered, FDIC. Do you think any of the Fed crookster banksters are shareholders of this thing? And how have they done? The worst part about this, and this is Brian's such a doofus. I was long this thing down there, and I took profits there. Oh, what a doofus. Oh, yeah, I doubled my money. Hey, look how smart I am. Wow. Really, really good example of, maybe don't sell everything. Hold on to a little bit, because you never know what the hell happened. Anyway, Saylor, these guys on his podcast recently, and he was having a nice interview with that. So you can see how industry is getting on board with Bitcoin. This is no longer a speculative story. This is actually now infrastructure stuff. And I get the feeling, I think what's probably going to happen is every single Bitcoin owner is going to have to either have their Bitcoins on a Coinbase or, disclose your address so the Fed can literally keep track and, of course, tax the shit out of every single Bitcoin in existence. But what I also see is that they're probably building up Bitcoin as a monetary base going forward. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. And you can see how these banks are just jumping all over this. That would have made you a lot of money had you bought there and held on from $7. Oh, that was painful to watch. Anyway, really good lesson in capitalism. With all that said, just think Benner cycle. It's going to be a bit of a slog here. At the end of the day, I think Bitcoin is part of our ethos. I don't think it's going anywhere. But what we have to learn is don't chase. Kind of like the NASDAQ here. If you're really a serious investor, you're not coming in and investing up here. That's just asking for trouble. We have a really, really simple concept that we teach at TRI called the reload zone. And it's just simply a statistical measure of the previous, most recent trading range. And what I would suggest you do, especially if you're an investor, is try and zoom out to as high a time frame as possible. I can't get this damn thing to cooperate. Right, and then just simply draw trend lines, and you'll notice that this reload zone lines up really nicely with that trend line. And the problem here is, how do you think the public is going to be acting and feeling? What have I done here? How do you think what happened? Oh, because I have this thing on. Oh, well, I can't do it. Anyway, so you saw what I had there. I had basic reload zone, trend line, and now actually we can even throw in our guest star here. Maybe even think about just buying where Ben's gonna buy, and the good old Benkoff check. So what do we do? Why is Bill Ackerman coming in and dumping tons of money, of mutual fund money, all the way in stocks up here? That's kind of crazy. And then, of course, 22, 23. Do you think Mr. Bill Ackerman knows about that Benner cycle? He should. mean, gee whiz. That's actually surprising that he would make such an amateur mistake. Anyway, oh well. So, if Bitcoin is correlated to NASDAQ, and we talked about head and shoulders, and you can see where the reload zone is, you can see where the trend line is, you can see where Ben is sitting, right? If Bitcoin's highly correlated with this, why wouldn't Bitcoin look somewhat the same? And then sort of the final piece to all of this, and then maybe we can get on to looking at these damn coins because I'm so blabbing so much here. What's the cost of production for a Bitcoin these days? How much does it actually cost to make one of these darn things? There's S17s and S19s. Now, this is the sort of old cost of electricity. Has this gone absolutely through the roof with the rising natural gas prices? I'm not quite sure. One of our site members did do an interesting study in that if you are a large Bitcoin miner, and let's say you operate in the great state of Texas, you can actually go to the Texas utilities and you can lock in like bulk electricity. And those bulk rates are ridiculously low. So I don't know whether those prices are going up substantially, but it is interesting if you start tinkering with the actual cost of electricity, how this moves up. My hunch, just like we saw back here, and keep in mind, by the time we actually get to price coming back down into reload zones, there's probably going to be like S21s and S23s and stuff. So you can see how the S17s and 19s were below that 78.6 at this point, right? This was back here. And I remember on the site, we even had people who did very exhaustive studies on the value of Bitcoins and came up with a cost of about $2,500 when we were sitting right here at about 4,000. And I don't mind that for a commodity. That would be healthy, right? We don't want the price to go below the cost of production because this asset, believe it or not, is actually extremely vulnerable to manipulation if we start getting rid of all the miners. And it's that 51% attack that you're going to start to hear talk about. As soon as you start hearing talk about the potential for 51% attack, that's when I think you know that the bottom is pretty close. So, whether it be cost of production, which is fundamentals down here, or whether it be technicals, 70%, 80% of the previous trading range, I don't mind the idea of the market working its way back down, and there's good old Ben sitting there, Ben Koff check off of that level and off of that level. So you can kind of see how this breakout here, and I think that was like 16 grand or something like that. 13,800, 13,800. So you can see that window right in there. That would be sort of my preferred investment window. So here we are up here at 41, 42. And that's around, 13, 14, all the way up to 20. As I had said earlier, when I was in Europe a couple years ago, I actually went around and talked to people all over Europe. And everybody was very comfortable with the market just sort of finding a floor at $6,000. People were like, okay, yeah, that's a good cost of production. And then notice this. And this is what I'm worried about, this sort of October, November, December. U.S. election, not quite sure how the U.S. election factors into all this. But I like the idea that we're probably going to be banging around in a trading range here through the spring and the summer. I heard a lot of people recently calling for Bitcoin to go through 30,000 low. And the irony of it all, or, through the 30, 40,000 pivot here, and the irony of all that is what's the way to sort of figure out that the floor is in? It's when everybody, and you go on social media, and, there's a great study somebody did. If you want fun, go and look this up. What happens to the price of Bitcoin when somebody publicly comes out and says cryptocurrencies are dead? Does the price go up or does the price go down? And I get the feeling, in fact, I know for certain, I saw it, that, people came out on social media and on these events are like, crypto's dead, crypto's dead. And what invariably happens, damn market rallies away. Sucks in a whole bunch more people on the long side. Then it melts back down. Crypto is dead. Sucks in a whole bunch more people on the long side. But what I'm worried about is there's one more thumping here this fall that sort of is the catalyst to take us into that 23 market bottom. So if you can take the time over this summer, notice May, that's what I think we're doing right now. I think there was some sort of pivot here that just came in. Why do I think there's a pivot there? This is so cool. I think there was a pivot there because TRI's breadth indicator is completely washed out. Here's the S&P 500. And we actually just got briefly into oversold in the stock market. We're coming out of there. Actually, I think we got a better signal, believe it or not, in crypto. So really good looking base there put in over the past week or so in the big cryptos. And even the junior cryptos are starting to bottom. So it's kind of cool that we're having this conversation tonight, because I believe that as we go through these coins, we probably should see a fair amount of sort of, we're trying to base. And if you're going to take a risk and you want to trade, make money from trading, now's when you probably ought to start paying attention. Sort of a side to this, when I was a commodities broker, I used to run a really simple commodity model. And keep in mind, commodities, they don't go out. They don't ever go off the board. Most of the time, they just simply oscillate to really expensive and really cheap. Really expensive, really cheap, really expensive, back and forth, back and forth. And you can basically trade the commodities based on whether they're really expensive. You're looking for sells and shorts. If they're really cheap, you're looking for buys and longs. So you can use this principle, sort of help you time. And actually, I created up a scoring system based on where we are relative to the mean, and then really simple slow moving average system, the 13 EMA and the 30 SMA on the weekly charts. Give you a nice simple score, and it's interesting. We actually have a buy signal in crypto. You can see not many, they're none. We had a little VCIM gold stock that actually spat up a buy, but I guess its moving average has gone back negative again with a weaker gold price. But we do have actually something turning up here in crypto. I'm not even quite sure what that is. Oh yeah, this was this Howdy coin. Actually, this kind of makes sense too, because if I'm not mistaken, they have a whole bunch of NFTs and all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of like one of these Binance kind of coins where, if you're going to participate in the sort of site shill, then the site's coin itself does really, really well. I don't know whether I'd actually participate in something like this, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. There's the 50% rule way up there, and you can see the moving averages are starting to turn. If this is a big old hammer there. I suppose if we tick up through the high of this hammer, that would be a buy signal in itself. 955.10, and this current candle's high is 952.75. So we haven't even broken out through here yet, but the moving averages, I guess, are starting to turn back up here. So with that said, like I said, I would prefer that we actually have some sort of fundamental driver, a reason to actually be looking at these names. If you do participate on Howdy, well, maybe you can play it through whatever sort of the plan is over there. I don't trade on Howdy, and I wouldn't be interested in it, so I wouldn't touch something like that. But check out... that was a 6, actually saying, you know what, you can step up and buy this thing. Look at all the 5s. 5's like, hey, this is pretty damn close to a buy signal. Look at them all. That's a pretty damn big list. And what this means is all of these assets are at the bottom end of the range, like this NEM, I think, is a good example. At the bottom end of his range, there's the 50% rule. And we're just waiting for these moving averages to turn back up. And you can see if this thing goes up through this high, what is that, 12.78 cents, whatever, that will probably force the short-term moving average to start turning back up, and of course that would be a W. And you know how much Brian likes his W's. So you can see the whole damn market is setting itself up. It is washed out, right? Dashboard here basically saying we are washed out. And it's your job as a trader and a technician to just go in and find those W's as they're coming in. I thought it was interesting the other day. I just was surfing through the universe, and look at this one. This is Algorand. I mean, that's textbook everything that we do. Nice reload zone pullback. We're at the bottom of value. Here comes a W. I think it broke out. I'm not quite sure. Maybe yes, maybe no. But, you know, there's so many names that look like this. I don't know whether maybe we have one more stab lower. Could be, but we're much closer to the bottom than we are on the top on a lot of these names. So it should be an okay window for like maybe, I don't know, maybe the next month or two kind of idea. You know, what's interesting about this breadth indicator is you can see this move here. We had a bottom sort of the end of February, beginning of March. And you notice rally into mid to the end of March. Then we have a bottom come in early April. So that would sort of correspond if we have a rally for about a month or so. That takes us into early May, which lines up with this thinking. Early May, some sort of rally peak into there. And also, too, it lines up with that decennial report looking for some sort of peak, some sort of seasonal peak there in April, early May. And then also, too, did we have an event happen just about exactly 1 year ago, right around this time of year, which was an excellent illustration of what market tops look like. And that's your good buddy Dog Money. Where's Dog Money? So it'd be interesting to see whether Dog Money actually can try and bottom here 1 year later. My hunch is it's probably still too early. I think had he sort of pulled off his little game there with Twitter, and he had and the board had said, "Oh yeah, we love you. Come on in, buddy." And he had said, "Let's use Dog Money," and they've been like, "Yeah, you're the man. We'll do Dog Money, sure." I think this thing would have taken off here, but I get the impression that it didn't go that way. So you know, this is a good example of what can happen through these cycle peaks. I mean, it can be vicious here, and it angers me. Is, you know, we practically give these courses away. We give the site away. You know, I do hour after hour after hour of public videos and shit. And this guy comes along and does this tout, and everybody and their brother was buying into here. It was ridiculous watching the YouTube videos of everybody getting rich, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, look, had you bought anywhere up here, in fact, I was really lucky. I sold up here, so way to go, Brian. But if you had bought anywhere up here, man, you'd be dying 1,000 deaths. And nobody's holding the guy to account. It's so frustrating. It's like it's almost as bad as well, no, okay, I won't get into that. Okay, so wow, I just wasted an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know. I hope you got some value out of that. I do like to do those 10,000 foot views of Bitcoin, you know, just remind everybody where fundamental value is, where technical levels are, what's the big picture, what do we look like in comparison to history. I don't really see anything new here, but what I do see is, if anything, I'm a little worried that what do we say here? The classic story of the 1% is going to encourage you as an investor to actually end up being a net seller on the eventual dumps down below. I'm trying to find a clean chart here for you. Maybe here we'll just do this. Right? Being a net seller when it dumps down into here. In fact, you can kind of see the A, B, C, D dump down into here. I don't want you to fall into that trap. Maybe what it means is you just say, and you know, I hate to say it, I can understand the viewership of channels like this are kind of winding down a little bit because, hell, there hasn't been a heck of a lot of uppy, right? The public, they get all excited and participate when this thing's face ripping. Hey, I want to get rich too. I want to get rich too. We're not really in that environment, so I can say that, I have to tell people, just cool your jets, right? Just wait, just wait, just wait. And so as a result, you actually see the number of views and stuff on these kind of channels goes down. But hey, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not shilling you. I'm just giving you the straight goods. And actually, there's one other thing I wanted to mention before we move on from this. Oh yeah, our old show host, he goes, I'm gonna come back when this market is in easy mode. So what does easy mode actually look like? I tell you, I had one gentleman who took my the program back 2014, 2015. Very, very wealthy gentleman now, that's for sure. And he was actually one of the people that pointed out way back when Bitcoin started to put in bullish momentum divergences on the weekly price chart. That's what we have to start seeing for us to go, you know what? I think the bear slide's finally over. Where there's anecdotal evidence from the market itself saying, you know what? I'm actually a lot stronger than price itself is leading you to believe. And then notice it happened again here. I'm a lot stronger than what price is leading you to believe. Price, remember this is where everybody freaked out about the sickness. Price is trying to tell you, hey, I'm really, really weak. But actually, internally, the messages are saying, no, actually, I'm pretty strong. So I don't know whether this thing is going to break out to new highs and fucking $1 million. But what I'm just going to say is, does this internal picture right here, right now, does it look like this? Does it look like this? No. How about the moving averages? Remember I showed you a weekly commodity trend survey trying to buy a bottom end of range with the moving averages turning up. Do the moving averages look like this? Or like this? No. So this is hard mode right now. This is not easy mode. This is hard mode. You want to just wait till the market goes back to easy mode? Think Benner. It's probably exactly 1 year from now. So make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons before you check out for the next year. Just do it at least once. And I won't be offended if I see the viewership trail off. And I do see it happening. But frankly speaking, it's understandable. You guys are, hey, I want to make money from trading. I want to make money from trading. And I'm sitting here going, now's not the time to make money from trading. So it makes sense. All right, so there's your 64,000 foot view. We'll pull up these names one by one by one. My hunch is that there is, like I said, I like the idea that actually Bitcoin's probably just going to bang around in here for a while, and then, this fall, we're going to have our final puke out. So through this window, can you make some money in some of the altcoins? I think that if you really are sharp, it's going to really test your acumen. If you're a little old lady, this isn't your market. But if you're sharp and you know the fundamental story, and like if I'm not mistaken, Paul, you got that trade that you did on the near, you got that chart handy?
No, but I could get it.
All right. And he's like, holy shit, what? Did he stop talking there? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, wake up. What was the question? Sorry, guys. I don't know how I do this. I just get going, and it's just, I used to have a sales manager. This is a true story. Every year they always have these mining conventions and crap, right? And then just people shilling, hey, buy my stock, right? And I used to have a sales manager, and he actually said to my face, Brian, I don't have to worry about you and regulators and all that. I know you're going to say the right thing. All I have to do is just put you up on stage, hit the on button, and then come back 45 minutes later and just hit the off button. And then just make sure I have a big whack of account forms. And just the people all just sign up and throw the checks. I won't do any shill. I'll just sit there and I'll blab away for 45 minutes, and everybody's just like, "Oh wow, okay, fine, whatever he says." Anyway, so if anything, this box should be green. But what I want to show you, because I think this is relevant for this kind of market state. Like I said, I get the feeling that, the corn, hey, we might just even rally back up top. If we're really lucky, we can get all the way up there. That would be awesome, but I doubt it. That's probably a bit much. But through this environment, through the summer, and this is one of the reasons why I actually really like having Paul on the site here, is he's pretty hip to this stuff. If I'm not mistaken, Coinbase, was it Coinbase that did this? Was that right?
No, FTX.
FTX. All right. So FTX. You better know your fundamentals. Paul found out that FTX was going to be listing this name. So as a result, it set up, obviously you have a bit of the wind at your back. It set up a trade setup for him, and he went for it. So, if you are slick and you've got your trading plan and you know that there's fundamental drivers, through the summer, there will be face rip stories. I can guarantee you. All I got to say is one word, and you all know exactly what I'm talking about. You ready for the word? Here it comes. Kobe. When I say Kobe, Ben, what does that mean to you? I'd be curious. No? Okay, well, maybe I'm not.
I'll probably get it when you start talking about it, but it's not ringing any bells.
Anyway, there's a guy, and I don't even know what his real name is. That's the irony of this crazy internet world. But he had the acronym when I came into the space of Crypto Cobain. Does that ring a bell? Crypto Cobain? Anyway, literally, he's one of these people where number one, he's very good at what he does. And then number two, he's kind of got the Midas touch. And my hunch is, through the summer, you're going to be hearing from Kobe. And while the corn is just doing things like banging around in trading ranges and driving everybody crazy, my hunch is I think they're all excited about the ape NFTs. What's the name of those things?
Yeah, they had the Bored Ape Club NFTs, and then they created the Ape Coin.
Ape Coin, yeah. So the whole thing. Anyway, not to get too derailed. Just the point is that there will be those kind of stories. There will be the pumps. So if you have your nose to the grindstone, you're pretty good at this, and you sort of can feel the vibe of the space. Hey, hop on the site and let us know. And if there's a W on there, I'll go and buy some and see if we can make some free money. So anyway, really good example of understanding fundamentals in this space, trading setups. There you go. His name is Jordan Fish. I would have never thought his name was that. Jordan Fish. All right. No wonder he changed his name to Crypto Cobain. Anyway, now I'm gonna hear it. Fuck that guy. He's got a whip of a sarcastic tone to him. I'm dead. He's gonna tear me apart. Anyway, the point being, I just want to show you, and this is Paul. This is our new sort of panelist. Very, very good trader. And he has his nose to or his ear to the ground, if you will, and he's very good at picking up on these things. So maybe pop on the site and be like, Paul, what's the coin in play now? And then, of course, do I have a setup? It's great working with Paul. He's very, very pro. Okay, so an hour and a half later, why don't we go and look at some names? Sorry, everyone. Oh, God. I thought I was supposed to have gotten religion. On the daily briefs, we have We have Chris. He even has like little sound effects. Brian, shut the fuck up. All right. So 29 is Phantom. Actually, it's interesting. Remember we did that Bitcoin Cash chart last week. I actually really like this story, and I like the fact that some people in our little social media circles seem to be thinking very highly of what's developing at Bcash. Although I don't know whether you're allowed to call it that. Or maybe that pisses Roger off. But anyway, do like the chart. But hey, let's get on to this week. So Phantom. This was our chart last time. Looks like we did this on Coinigy. Oh man, I haven't seen this in a while. Well, September of 2021. So I guess that's about a good 6 months ago. The problem here is, of course, you can't chase that. FTM USDT on Binance. Let's see if we can find that chart. What did I say? FTM? I think that's what I said. Binance?
Yep.
Yeah. So, once again, what you see here is don't chase. If you chase, oh man, it could get painful for you. So, what did we draw here? Where was that? Oh, it was here. So this was on the first push-up. It's interesting how we have this big honking Foggenbaum way up top there. So that's at, what does that say? 226. Be interesting to see where the next one, the 4669 was. But let's think at 226. And 226. So that Foggenbaum level was right up in this area here. Suppose coming in here, had you bought this? Hey, look at me, I'm smart. Oh, look at me, I'm so smart. Oh, maybe not. Oh, now I'm actually at scratch. Should I sell? Maybe I better sell. Oh, we're back up, I'm rich again. Oh, no, now we're back down, basically breaking even. Now what do we do? Now what do we do? Now what do we do? So, I think at this point I had just drawn simple reload zones, said probably concentrate down here. We never did get that pullback. And then I guess the Foggenbaum was off of here. Boom. Yeah, there's 226 up in there. So that's usually what ends up happening with these foggies, I've found, is we go up to 226, then we have to come back down and tag the original breakout, or if we can hold on to these, then we launch straight up to 4669, which is up here. Looks like we tried to push higher and somebody just stepped in front of this thing. Big old M, see you later. So, unfortunately, when the M comes in, we can actually start drawing foggies going to the downside here. So, I don't know how accurate that is, but gee whiz, that sure does look pretty good. Doink. Did we miss this and we had to come back, test the high, and then come back down, then trade down to it? I don't know. It's tough to say. Where's reload zones now? Well, interesting. Now we are off of this high. We're starting to come back down into attractive area. This is awfully nosebleedy, though. God, I hate these kind of names. I don't like buying into these kind of names at all. There's just so much risk both directions. I would say that the trend, quote unquote, is now actually we confirm this. So actually this is now a confirmed market structure trend line. That is a brick wall up there. So could you buy this thing at $1.18 and see if you could get off half on a double at $2.40? It's not unrealistic. We just do reload zones. It's basically looking for a 61.8. Considering the way that our January barometer, Decentraland report, mid-election year report, all that kind of stuff. I don't know whether this would be really one that I would want to concentrate on. I suppose the question ultimately here is, do they have some sort of big fundamental driver going on? So maybe check in with Paul. Do you know whether these guys, FTX is going to be listing them? I don't know.
They already have them.
Sorry?
They already have the
so sorry, that's old news. So, you know, the new listing events, those are great sort of fundamental pump reasons. But if that's come and gone, what I really don't like about this chart is who can, on YouTube, who can finish this sentence? What are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us? Ugh. So the fact that we did go through this low here does to me mean that the smile confirmed. So it's heavy. Right? There's a lot of supply that's hitting the market and not a lot of demand. Could this be sort of AB and then clone that, CD, and that was a bottom? Maybe. It's tough. So I think as our spreadsheet goes, Ben, if you want to mark this down, I'd say trade location, nah. It's not, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. You're not chasing, but I don't think you're getting a real discount here. I wouldn't be surprised if when this thing ultimately bottoms right back down to that bottom there. Indicator confirmation. Do we see signs of divergence? A little bit. It hasn't broken down. That looks okay. Nice little W there. Cute little W div here in the near term. This isn't really compelling though, to be honest with you. I think there's probably better fish to fry out there. But you can see we put in a cute little RSI W right there. Willie, did Willie get stupid? Yeah, Willie got slightly stupid. Slightly stupid. So a little bit of a div. If you are interested in this, maybe find out what the fundamental drivers are. If there are no fundamental drivers, I'd be very leery. Try and find something that's actually got something going for it. Some sort of story. Do they have a DeFi play? All that kind of stuff. So, prices. There's reload zone. So we're down at 78.6 off of this range. But I'm leery when I see these monstrously huge ranges like this. Ideally, I would prefer, especially with the way the profile looks here, I would ideally prefer that this bottom actually come in somewhere down here. Like that. So, I'm going to say location, yes, but not really. Meh. Little divs. We got a nice div here on MACD and a little bit of a not really the best looking div in RSI. A little bit of a compression in the Bollinger Bands on the RSI, so it was building. There is pressure building here. Willie is stupid, and OBV doesn't look terrible. I just don't think there's a buy signal here. I think that it's cheap, relatively speaking. That trend line's been broken. This trend line here probably is dominant. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. So you're going to have to really see a W on the other side of this trend line. So I'm going to say indicator confirmation, meh. It's there, but it's not really overly compelling. And no price structure yet to work with. Does that make sense, Ben? All right. So I'll throw that in the database. So at least, hey, we got one done. That wasn't so bad. And not a good idea to just come in and buy a market going straight up like that. We never did come back down into reload zone here, but we did pull back. I think we did like a Wyckoff check here. There was the breakout. There was a pullback. Yeah, so it was a Benkoff check. You could have placed your order to buy on the breakout there. That would have been an okay trade, but pretty darn risky. So, sort of middle of the road. As it stands right now, new M, momentum, meh, it's okay. It's not great. Not really the best trade location, and I have no price structure there to work with. If anything, consider that past 10-15 minutes just a big whack of edutainment. I don't know whether I even really helped too much with that. But we will add it to... What did I do here? There it is. We will add this to... Now, where should I put this? Over here? All right. I got the thumbs up. Meh, meh, nah, meh. We'll say better fish to fry. What? Maybe I'll put this over here. FA driver. Better fish to fry. Just keep in mind, you only have so much capital, right? So, is this really a good place to have a lot of your capital tied up? I don't know. Okay, so that's Phantom. Let's head on over to Stellar Lumens now. See what the hell they're doing. This was the IBM's Internet of Things. And actually, I saw IBM stock did pretty well today, so I guess they did okay on earnings-wise. Last time we looked at this was back in, where's the date on this? June. So, I guess a little less than a year ago. Really good example of what can happen here. For nice friendly market state. And then look at that bottom in there. And then, you know, buy when it snows. Woohoo! Sell when it goes. Really good example also, too. Like the power of the years that ends in ones. And, of course, as soon as we get into 2, what happened here? My hunch is probably hasn't been nearly as parabolic, but let's see. XLM, right? That's what we're looking at. We'll look at this versus USDT. What do you guys think? Actually, this would be curious because usually I ask Nick this, but we'll get both of our panelists' input here. I always love to ask this question. Is Danny from Magic Internet Moneyland, is he still in the penalty box? Have you guys heard anything from Danny? Ben's got a big smile on his face.
No.
Paul's
seems like he's still in the penalty box.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I don't know, Paul, did you follow along with all that Magic Internet Money story and stuff?
Yeah. Not too close, but I know the story.
And you still figure that he's in the penalty box? How about you, Ben?
Yeah.
You hear anything about good old Danny?
Yeah, I haven't had anything pop up, but I just did a quick Google search, and it's tough to find some fresh content on him.
Okay. Well, anyway, I don't know whether we'll do any of his coins tonight, but always good to. I always like to sort of get a sentiment reading. Was he part of Sienna? Does that sound familiar at all to you, Sienna? I know Andrew was part of a group that was interested in that. I don't know whether that's part of his story or not, though. Doesn't ring a bell? How about the Secret Network? Are you guys interested? Do you know anything about that Secret Network?
I remember Derek was into that. Yeah, but not myself. I didn't get into it, no.
All right. Paul, are you involved in that Secret Network? I mean, not involved.
No,
but do you know anything about it?
I like the project.
You like the project, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, is that Danny or is that something completely different?
It's different.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, sorry to derail everybody. Let's get back on task here. So, clearly, you can see 2021, great time to be rah-rah bullish of crypto. And then look at this, like how It was bad in dog money. I mean, did they all get the memo? Basically the exact same day? You know, is that May 11th my birthday? May 16th. Oh, they waited a week. Well, at least that was nice of them. There was my birthday there. Really good idea, all of you who are watching this on Internet Land. If you hear that it's Brian's birthday, probably best to cool your jets in the market. Anyway, clearly, oh boy, what a train wreck. That's painful. Good to see, though. You can see it sure looks like we're trying to saucer bottom here. We've put in several serious tests of these lows in here. Haven't quite started to W out, so my hunch is we're probably going to have location okay. Indicator confirmation looks sideways. We actually just got overbought there in a little bear failure. But I can understand that probably we're coming down into things like Benkoff check levels. So over the entire range, remember he said Simon Dixon loves that 70 to 80%. There's a really good example. There's Benkoff. Ben's just sitting there waiting. That's probably about 85% of the range. Then also notice these lows right in here, right? So that's probably what's going to defend this bull. So there's Ben sitting at his breakout level. There's 88.6 fib, which we love. There's Brian's 78.6. I've actually told you, usually what ends up happening to me is the market actually ends up coming back and bottoming off that 78.6. So that's what I would expect here, believe it or not. You can see we did 78.6, flirting, maybe even W's off 78.6. This is probably a really good example of, little old ladies, you can officially come back to the party. Actually, I guess maybe that's there to there. And then there to there. Well, maybe even there to there. Kind of messy. If we go weekly, you'd probably see a little bit better levels. This looks like a nasty top. Interesting how that's a higher high, though. And actually, we did make a higher high in momentum, so it wasn't a divergence. What's that? 44 and an eighth, 43. Yeah, so it was slightly higher. And then they just broke everybody's heart jerks. There's that funny little one. I think you could probably go. In fact, actually, you could probably go right off of that now. And because this has actually been traded through, that is actually a confirmed trend line. So I actually think that there's probably your trend. Boom, boom, boom. Major resistance up top here. But, at 20 cents, 40 cents, can I get myself a risk-free trade on? Looks like it. Remember, it's interesting earlier. Remember, I'd said that Bitcoin chart. What does easy mode look like? Fascinating. If this thing can just somehow perk up through these highs, you're going to actually get one of those easy mode signals. So these high, what does that say? 518, 530, 530, 5307, 53726. Looks like that's the highest, right? 537. Yeah. So 53726 right there. Let's see how high we got. 46, 46, 463. So 463. So I haven't gone through the high there. And if anything, this makes sense, right? If we got a nice little bump up here, that's going to force this thing to go up. And then we actually have a bullish divergence. Easy mode. Remember we heard that. About Bitcoin! So, Willie's nice and stupid on the weekly basis. Always like to see that. It would be kind of cool if this thing can go and put in a weekly W. That would be kind of fun. I would prefer that we actually get these bullish momentum indicator signals to come in first and then hunt a W. And probably, actually, the easiest way to look at this is there's probably like brick wall resistance. And then sort of when does that trade get going in earnest? I think probably the first W on the other side of this trend line. So it's fascinating. This actually, it's not bad, right? Because it's got location. You're not, I mean, Brian loves his 78.6s. I would prefer, ideally, again, this is sort of the same as the other one we see. If I had my druthers, I would prefer to be shopping like down in there. But, Nanny Nibbles, are you going to quibble about like, that's 10 cents, 20 cents? If I could just pick up a basket of it between 10 and 20, that's not terrible. You can see the double bottom breakout originally is that 12 cents. So it's not bad. This reminds me, this looks a lot like that sort of the Bcash, right? That you're not coming in and chasing an uppy market. That's good. And then, of course, what do you think the public is thinking on a name like this? What do you think, Paul? Do you think the public is super excited, over the top bullish about Stellar Lumens right now?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So that, in a way, is probably also a sign as well. So, Nanny Nibble, if you like the story, because of location, it's potentially putting in momentum divergences with Willie Stupid. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart. If we do puke out, though, here, you can see that if we do puke out, we could have to come back down against that trend line again. So it's not really a slam dunk. It's if I was going to rate this, I would say it's maybe like a 7, maybe a 6.5, something like that. It's not like if you ask me, hey Brian, should I buy something in Pierre, and I'd be like, are you kidding me? Stay the fuck away. Excuse my French. That's not the case right now. So, and then of course, like we said, we're heading into the summer silly season. Could you get a nice little counter trend rally up there to produce a little double for you? It's not out of the question. So I'll leave the chart at that. Let's see what it looks like the next time we come to this idea. Where's the spreadsheet? Around here somewhere. No? Oh, I guess it's over here. It looks a heck of a lot better than this. Right now we're at least swooning out here. Alright, so we'll put that in there. We said yes to trade location, yes to indicator confirmation. Yeah, I would say no to price structure just yet, but this is the kind of thing where give me a W and I can buy. Oh, interesting. Oh, except for this is in the wrong line. That there. And then we'll put this just maybe it's this one. Hey, there we go. All right. Uniswap. How are all these DeFi names looking? Oh, there's a chart. Alright, so interestingly enough, when we did look at this back in June, like this is what you have to be worried about. Sell in May and walk away, right? You got to avoid that like the plague. That's kind of like Netflix right now. I would say that it looks like we had a moving average sandwich. Counter trend rallies back up into the top end of the range would be shorting opportunities. W's down here would be buying opportunities. So let's see what happened. That is Uni USDT. Uni USDT. Boom. Wow, what a mess. All right, so this is a weekly chart, so a little bit higher time frame look. Really, really good example. Actually, I'm surprised we didn't even make reference to this. We didn't have any of the indicators on here, but if you put up an indicator on here, this move, you can kind of see it. Like, does this, at some point what you have to do is you have to get to the point where you can see the divergence in momentum just because you've been doing this so long. But hopefully you look at this image and you go, that was a really powerful one-way push. And notice this push only lasted 1 bar and then it started correcting. And then sloppy. Then this push here, well, couple bars and then really came off. So clearly really strong momentum here. Then waning. So when you see that waning push, didn't we have somebody just about May of last year say that RSI divergences don't mean anything? Just go and buy and you'll get rich. Of course, if I ask that kind of question, you know what the answer is. So pull up the chart and look at this, folks. Oh my goodness. And this is what you have to learn. Aside from all the swearing, aside from all the political opinion, which really is irrelevant, you have to see this where, here RSI pushing up to new highs. As price is pushing higher, you see RSI is not making new highs and then goes and M's out. You have to respect that. That is a really, really negative sign. And sure enough, look what had to happen after. It's not an accident. Good part about it now, though, is could you make the argument this thing's getting washed out? What did Brian say about easy mode there? Notice how the MACD, we don't have that much history. It'd be kind of cool if we had a little bit more data to work with. But can you see how we went down, up, just underneath the 0 line, then back down, and then look at this. What do we call this, Ben? Being a red-blooded male that you are. Maybe I'm saying you're a dad though. You must be heterosexual. So
double bottom.
Oh yeah, it's double bottom. Yeah. Well, I suppose if you've got little ones and diapers and all that, then maybe that's what you see. What I see is my favorite. I don't know, Paul. Do you want to help him out, or do you not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole either?
A weekly divergence.
Oh, you guys are so boring. Come on.
You're not a butt guy?
Yeah, I'm that guy. I'll do it. That's a big double D's. Woo! Double D's for the win. But Brian, I'm an A cup kind of guy. Oh, okay. Well, I can't help you there. Anyway, this is a pretty powerful chart. Remember I had said earlier with that Bitcoin, right? How do you identify when the market is actually telling you this is a lot stronger than what price is leading you to believe? When you have a double divergence like that, basically higher low, lower low, higher low, lower low. That's actually a pretty darn good looking market. You could probably also make the argument, when will this bear slide be finished? When we W on the other side of this trend line. So you can see we've broken out through it. Now it's incumbent on the market to go and put in a W. That's what we need to see. Also, too, with the divergences, frankly speaking, this is a pretty good looking idea. And do you guys do the Uniswap stuff? Is this sort of in your alley?
It's a bit expensive for me.
$9?
Yeah, it's an Ethereum DeFi, so you pay Ethereum gas fees.
Oh, so it's expensive to get in and out.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, would you buy something like this?
Yeah.
All right. There's a bold statement.
Yeah. I'll put it on my hunting list.
That's all I want to hear. Paul, are we making money? Yep. That's fine. Carry on. So anyway, the point here, I would say Willie's stupid. RSI's trying to turn back up. This is a weekly chart, so keep that in mind. really, I think your signal here, if you can get any kind of W over here, that's a buy. I would say probably realistic objectives, good old 50% rule. That's 26.26. Ah, interesting. I guess that's, I don't know if that's right. 26.46. I mean, you know. And also, too, this happens to be the Tether Binance proxy. That is hilarious. Binance? Officials are now criticizing stable coins on DeFi. You got to be kidding me. I couldn't believe that when I heard that the other day. It's like, that's kind of the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it? Anyway, I don't mind that. That looks pretty good, but you got to get a W. Give me a W, and we're ready to rock and roll. So that's kind of cool. And also, so, you know, if we're going to put in all our metrics, I think we can go trade location. It's at 78.6. You know how much Brian loves those 78.6s. Funny looking original bottom. Do we have to come back down to 88.6? Maybe. Interesting, that's not a huge price difference. You know, if you can sneak your way in anywhere down below $10 and against this $5 area, I think you're doing okay there. Paul says that the daily chart's looking pretty good too. So, oh yeah, you're right. So, you know, one concept that we teach at TRI is who can finish this. Let's see if you can finish this over on YouTube. Volume speaks what? So, if we look at volume, wow, yeah, that is pretty. Good point there, Paul. Beautiful double bottom there in OBV. I would have liked to have seen volume ramp up through these highs, though. That's a little suspicious. But good looking W there. So clearly there was a seed shift. People were net sellers. You can see them sell. And something happened through here that changed their outlook, and they turned back to buyers. But you know that trend line, really, really good analogy here. We got to get some sort of W here. If you don't get a W, this thing might just slide right back down here and continue on its way. So the W coming in here is critical. And probably also, too, if you really want to like really focus in on this thing, I draw a trend line off of these lows. I don't know which is the lowest low. What's that? That's 810, and that is 810. Oh, same number. So I think we're doing something like that. So the problem with this is this works the same logic going the other way. If now you have this uptrend line, and it's interesting how both these numbers are 810. So that might imply that there's a pretty solid floor there at 810. But if we go and M out below this trend line, that becomes a structural sell signal. And if anything, what this looks like to me is we could go AB. CD down there, right? Which would be a revisit of this trend line. Boom, 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 down into here. So, like I said there earlier, there's 88.6 at 540. Wicks and tails like to be eaten, and candle body lows for trade location. Look at that level right there, eh? Ooh, that's crazy sick. And unfortunately, I know it sucks horse, you know what, but I think Ben's sitting down here with his buddies all right there. That probably was his Benkoff check. And of course, there's a whole bunch of trapped bears right in this tail here. They would probably love nothing more than to be released. So, and actually interesting too, there's a little bit of a gap right there, right? Is there? Maybe. Oh, maybe not. Thought there was one, but maybe not. Actually, it's pretty smooth. Oh, not bad. I thought there was a gap right here, but nope, looks okay. All right, so there's Ben. There's 88.6. You know, Brian, he doesn't mind 78.6. It's not a terrible place to go fishing. if we get further sort of dumps here, A, B, C, Ds, just keep your eye on this trend line. Can we get a W over here and rock and roll? Really good example of why you want to wait for that W on the other side trend line. This was a fake out. This kind of sucks. So, I think we can say trade location, yes. Indicator confirmation. Actually, I don't mind. Yeah, you can see the divs even in RSI down in here. I don't know whether we have any divs off of the daily. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't call that a div. This is a coil. So it's the weekly momentum picture that looks good. If anything, that's probably better, right, for investors. I wouldn't be in a big hurry here. Just let the W come in, wherever the W. If a W does come in here, rock and roll. So, what do we say here? This is a tough one because the weekly chart does look good, but I don't think the daily chart's ready. Is that this? And clearly here, moving average sandwich, unfortunately, these guys won. That's actually what happened. A, B, C, D down into where we are now. Right. A, B. Actually, it'd be interesting to draw that out. Let's see where that goes. A, B. C, D. Oh, yeah. So this one actually says we could come right back down to the original lows there. Yuck. That's not good. Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if we actually dip down there, considering that is a negative number. Basically, it would imply that we have to come right back down to the original bottom. I suppose, keep in mind, folks, just be aware. The DeFi space is sort of threatening the fiat currency system. Keep in mind the U.S. government in 1930, God, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say 32, but I don't know whether that's right or not. Came out and actually, made it illegal for U.S. citizens to own gold as a speculative investment. So I don't know whether that. This being in DeFi land, whether that would even possibly be enforceable. It might just be way too difficult. Paul says, why don't you check out this ABCD on a log scale? Maybe that's a little bit better. So let's see what he's got there. All right, so that was the original one. Actually, one good thing about TradingView recently is they sort of cleaned up this log scale ABCD tool, where you can actually draw them without it getting all screwy. So, interesting. Thanks for that heads up there, Paul. You could make the argument that this ABCD, because these are venture cap names, and this is all about growth, the question ultimately here is, what is 1 cent of rise actually worth? So, quite often if you're measuring like a value of a stock, stocks are earnings engines. So if a company earns a penny a share and then can increase that to 2 pennies a share, well, that's a 50% increase. Actually, that's not. It's a doubling of earnings. But an increase from 11 cents a share to 12 cents a share, well, that's not even a 10% increase. So that's why you use log charts in stock land to try and give you that relative valuation of increase or decrease in earnings. I'm not exactly sure how this works in crypto and with a commodity. It looks to me like this is usable information. It does look to me like the market did try to bottom off of that PRZ. So, like I said, probably the overriding bullish message here is that the weekly chart looks so nice. I think the daily chart's just trying to clean itself up, trying to find that bottom. So, as I said there a moment ago, though, because we have lost this little uptrend line here, You really gotta give me a W to show me that this thing is actually for real. But you can even see this is not a bad trade idea at all. Just, if this does W out here, I don't mind the idea of coming in and risking against these original lows because this W already did fire. And looking to take profits at 50% roll, which is like a 6-to-1 risk reward. I like that kind of thinking. It's not a terrible idea. All right. So I don't know if, well, I guess we'll just leave it on there. Let's see what happens the next time we stumble across this chart. Did we go and W out and start climbing the wall of worry, or did we puke out and continue and bust through these lows? And if we did, then you have to wait for a whole new price pattern to develop. So the problem with this one is the weekly chart looks so good. Yeah, there you go, weekly. Oh, that's good, okay. So we'll have the daily on there, and then because you made reference to the weekly, we'll take a look at that down the road. Now I'm going to say again, another one. Give me a W, and I can buy. I think I'll say buy. And I got to say, this, and what we were saying with Bcash, it lines up really, really nicely with this kind of thinking. Our thinking here now was that we had the crossover there about 3 or 4 days ago, but teal, or the slow moving average, was still pointing down, which meant that it was a weak signal. Now that teal is starting to perk up here, and you can see over here as well, any kind of buy signals that you get are buy signals. So it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't doesn't surprise me that we're getting a lot of these. If you give me a W, I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, there's another one. So we've got 3 done here tonight. I thought internet computer price. Oh, I don't even know what the heck this is. ICP. It's already after 8 o'clock, but Brian did spend an extra half hour or so on nonsense there earlier. If you've got a hot talking to myself. If you've got a hot Ben, completely understandable. It's getting kind of late for you. So, and Paul, if you got a hop too. I think I'll try and bang through a couple more names, and maybe we'll finish here around 8:30 or so, if that's okay with you guys. And like I said, if you got a hop, totally fine by me. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Internet Computer ICP. Let's see what the heck we got here. Ben says, I'll stick around. Oh boy, look at this thing. Jesus. There'd be no reason for me to be bullish here whatsoever. I'm almost afraid to see whether this thing's even still on the board or not. So, train wreck of a chart. I guess we'll keep it here just for reference. But this is ICP US dollars on Coinbase. ICP USD on Coinbase. Well, we could do USD on Binance, but we'll start with that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Jesus, this thing was like, look at that, $500-600 right out of the gate, and now it's $17. Ay, 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 ay. You guys see how capitalism, the capitalist machine works? It's just evil, eh? So, here we were looking at it on June 9th, and it was $82. That's down June 9th right there. So indeed, it went all the way down here, June 26th, down to 28. Dead cat bounce, made a new low. Oh, so painful. Then cute little A, B, C, D. Take us up here. Probably run some weak stops against that high and that high. Probably a bear div formed in through here. So let's see what that looked like. Yep, there it is. So you can see Price is actually, and this kind of weird one, right? Because you have this higher high and that higher high. So that corresponds with that. But this high here, that high here, bear div. Nasty. Bear div was confirmed right here. Market worked its way lower. Actually confirmed a bull div here. So just give me some sort of W to work with. Not really much to work with. Busted to new lows, came up, ran the highs, then puked out big time. Oh, horrible mess. Tried to put in a bull div through here. I don't know. Is this low lower? Let's see. That's, where are we? Minus 1.885, 859. So let's see what we got here. 152, 159. So 159, and then we went to 18. So nope, no bull div. We rallied up off the lows. Nice little A, B, C, D. Unfortunately, that looks like the end of the move. And then back down. Another new low. Looks like new lows in MACD. Dead cat bounce off the lows. Then new M's. Oh boy, this is just a mess. Making lower lows in price now. MACD is not making lower lows. MACD did just making lower lows here though. So it looks like we were trying to set up some sort of base over here. We had a bit of a rally. Then it looks like the rally petered out right in here. And this high here is 23.51. This high here, 23.51. So exactly double top, boof. Nasty MACD, nasty RSI, nasty Williams percent. Excuse me. Wow, sneezes popped up out of nowhere there. There's a tissue. I will spare you the. Oh, what am I recording? Oh, I guess you guys in the Hangout. Are you guys looking at me or are you looking at hopefully the price chart? I think we were recording the price chart. Anyway. Oh, I gotta put myself on mute. Sorry. All right. So blowing my nose at the price. Is that what you're saying? All right. So, if anything, a really good analogy of quite often I see these things come out and then just get absolutely crushed. I wonder if this was like a Coinbase listing, one of those kind of things. If we go over and look at Binance's a bit longer history. Oh, geez, it's even worse. Oh, my goodness. $2,000? Ay. I mean, maybe you can start saying it's basing out. You can see this low in MACD is higher than that low. So that's encouraging. You'd have to get a nice rally here to break the MACD out of these histogram tops. If that happened, then we can start looking for a W in price to help frame the trade. So unfortunately, this thing still looks like a piece of poo. There's just not really anything to do here. Surprising, I bet this one's not on the leaderboard anymore, is it? Is this still in like the top 100 or whatever?
Let me check.
It's probably come off quite a bit, eh? We could do Coin Gecko, eh? Isn't that the one that people like to use? ICP. What are we here? So this ranking here says
It's 37 on CoinMarketCap.
oh yeah, here at 39. So CoinMarketCap, they probably have a couple Binance names jacked in there to try and right up at the top, eh? But they're probably not real. All right, so it's still in the top 100. Imagine that, even at $17, they must have just a bazillion coins out. Oh yeah, this is always good. 224,796,000 coins. So the question here is, what the hell's the value of one of these tokens? How do you even figure out what one of these tokens is worth? Is this POS? Is this POW? If it's POS, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't think POS coins are worth anything. I think they're only worth sort of the gas fees to do transactions on their networks. If it's sort of like a, yeah, do you think this is a tier 1 or tier 2 or whatever how they call those things?
It's a governance token for like a decentralized cloud computing. Um, so I don't know what the yeah, whether it's governed, yeah, like the monetary base, whether it's proof of work or proof of stake. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
All right. You have any opinion on this thing, Paul? Any idea?
No, I just wait on W
Just wait
on the
on
weekly
W.
chart.
All right. So keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So probably best, let's let this trend line be broken. Let's let the momentum divergence confirm itself. Maybe if we're lucky, you get some sort of pop here, which fires the div, and then you get your W, and away we go. But probably quite a bit down the road. Nothing really to do here yet. If anything, maybe it's cheap. I mean, the problem with these things is how do you define cheap? I at least like the POW story, because then you can figure out what the value of one of these silly things is. How much does it actually cost to validate the network? All that stuff. When it comes to POS coins, I have no way to figure out what the value of these things are. And, like a good example, I remember ADA came out of the gate and did this, and it was just took forever for the damn thing to bottom. So, like Paul said, you want to make this easy? Just probably wait for the weekly W's. And if we look at the weekly price chart, we don't even have that much data here, which is kind of dangerous. This is even the Binance one. It's got a little bit more. But there just isn't any W's yet here. So, yes, oversold. Yes, cheap, relatively speaking. But there's just no technical reason to get super bullish. Probably the only thing that really grabs my attention is, Tom DeMark's 8s and 9s and stuff. So, we're cheap. It's probably overdue for a rally, but let that thing break out. Let it put in its bull div, and then you can start getting bullish. Until then, just got to sit there and twiddle your thumbs. And then, of course, is there some sort of fundamental driver? Is there any sort of reason why this thing would rally? I'll leave that up to you, all you crypto experts. And by all means, if you're watching this video through the week, as we always say, hit the like button, subscribe, ring. We'll ask you to ring Ben's bell. Ring my bell. Bell, you got or bell. Ben, you got a bell? That would be kind of funny. Anyway, I used to always ask everybody to ring Colleen's bell, but that's because when she was my girlfriend on the website. Miss you, Colleen. In fact, actually, we changed the Davos to Kalinos. Everybody on the site calls them Kalinos. So if you are around here, you are thought of on a regular basis. And actually, I think I saw her in the ladies' lounge recently, so I think she's just sort of quietly lurking around the site. Anyway. Okay, so... I guess I never did get the chart here. Yeah, the problem here is, do we even say we even have trade location? How do you even figure out, like when an asset breaks to new 52-week lows or new all-time lows, how on earth do you figure out where the hell the bottom is on this thing? It could be a hell of a lot lower, folks. So I don't even know if you even have location here. What I used to say to people is you can't think of this as this range here going back up to there. If we lose the bottom here, then technically we should replicate this range to the downside. And I would do extension studies, but going the other way. Well, that looks like that. Oh boy. Oh, that's interesting. 1.618. Where are you, 1.618? And really also want 2. Interesting. 1.3, 1.272. Where did my other levels go? I must have done something wrong here. We go regular. Maybe it just goes into. There you are. Yeah, so it goes negative. That's why. So I don't know. This is a tough one. Probably maybe. I guess what I would be thinking is maybe that. So that there is 2.0. So maybe that explains why we're flatlining here. So maybe location, but I don't know. It's not really something I'd be too interested in. Give me a W over here. Let's get all these divs, start firing. Then maybe we can think about some sort of counter trend rally. So I'm not quite sure how we do that. Do we say that this is at trade location? Maybe what we could do is go AB. And then CD. Something like that. But then probably Paul would want us to change this to a log chart. I don't know whether this is a log chart or not. Log. Yeah. AB. So on a log basis. CD. But we're kind of blowing through that. So that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't have trade location. I think I'm just going to simply say that. I'm going to say no, 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 and no. So let's come back and look at this down the road. Probably what I want to see is up to break this trend line and then give me a W to let me get in. So that's what I want to see. So next time we come back to this image, let's see if we did something like that. Okay, so 824. Why don't we'll do one more and then we'll call it a night. So let's say break trend line, confirm div, then W, and can buy. Something like that. Yeah, okay, we'll just leave that for now. All right, last one, Hedera. Wasn't this one of Derek's favorite ones? H bar? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's the one.
Sounds like it. And then also he liked that Theta network.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so looking at this, last spring, obviously, we looked at this. It was working its way back down. Did it work its way all the way back down to Benkoff check levels? In fact, this is probably the chart where you went, well, that's a Benkoff check. We're going to make him famous. Remember that? He used to love that. Anyway, you can see where I'd be interested, 10.4. So let's go see what happened. Proof of the pudding's in the eating, I think they say. H bar. Where were we looking at this? It's here. Tethers on Binance. Looking at a weekly chart. H bar. So USDT on Binance. There it is. All right. Let's see what happened. We'll take it back to regular scale just so I can see what the price did. Okay. So what did we say? We said last summer, I guess, right? July. Was working down from 45 and probably interested in 10. So let's see what happened. So there is the peak. And how far did we get? There's reload zones. There's 12 cents. Not quite sure how we had 10 on there. But something like that. So interesting how we got into the reload zone. Didn't quite get down to that 10 cents. That's where I would have loved to have been able to buy. Of course, I suppose the big historical breakout is there. Probably, you know, we saw this earlier tonight. Remember, we saw a name that broke out, then pulled back and left a whole bunch of trapped bears on the chart. So my hunch is that if price did get back down into, we'll just highlight it, down into there or into here, that all these trap bears would just quickly buy up their old positions to try and square up their positions. So that's what I would have thought would have happened. There's also that little bar right there. So that actually probably, because I think we saw that it came down into reload zone, but then it turned back up. So this in itself might, especially with the breakout here. Also, too, look at the size of that tail. So there's probably some trap bears in there as well. But I really like that one. And, of course, where is key support on this chart? I think it's that level and that level. So that little window right in there. So all of these areas, that's where I would have wanted to buy. So let's see whether we even got an opportunity. Oh, look at that. Oh, son of a bitch. So it stabbed right into that low. And all of the trap bears in this little one candle right here, they all just said buy, 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 buy. And they covered all those short positions right in there. So that's interesting. Pretty good analogy of reload zone. I mean, you just never know in this game. Never did get that 78.6 level, which I love. Suppose you could argue that, well, you know, Brian, this looks like a hell of a base. I'm going to draw my fib off of all of these lows, especially that double bottom there, and, you know, using basically Benkoff check as a base now. Now, this is actually the range. And interesting how that now brings prices down into that 78.6 area. So probably a good example of technical analysis to a certain degree. Did I swear again? Sorry, Jordan, if I did. Jordan, actually, didn't we have Jordan? Jordan, is your name Crypto Cobain? Is that you? No, just kidding. Technical analysis is really good. It's more of an art form than a science sometimes. So I think here would be a really interesting sort of personal interpretation of where I'm not going to take the study off of the base, but actually I'm going to use the breakout of this range and then the double bottom check of that level as my new base. It is interesting how we dipped down into these levels and they were just quickly gobbled up there. So, technical analysis and art more than a science. I like that thinking. On balance, you know, we will get bullish when they get a W on the other side of this trend line. So interesting how we sort of banged up, you know, fail, fail. Beautiful W down here. Probably sets up a cute little trade where, you know, you're like, well, or maybe even really something like that, you know. Yeah. So lots of tags of a level, mind you. It's kind of sloppy. Kind of cherry picking the levels here, so I don't know how valuable this is. But boom, 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 boom. All right, well, we finally got on the other side of that trend line. Can I have a W? And interesting, look how we just went from this railroad tracks here, just straight line up into that trend line. just steamrolled and then stopped. How else could you explain why that happened other than these trend lines? So hit the trend line, backed off, came up. Okay, I really want to get through here. Backed off, came up, backed off, came up, and then finally breakout on the other side of the trend line. Interesting how really probably the trade is just this kiss of the trend line from the other side right there, which of course, you know, lower time frame players I don't know where you want to go, but yeah, interesting reload zones against that range in there. That would be like lower time frame people. But nonetheless, probably, at this point here, probably indicators are starting to turn back up and pointing bullishly. Yeah, you can see the bull div actually came in all the way back here. Another div here. So pretty good looking. Well, that's kind of messy. Let's try that again. Bull div. There's a cute little one there. Bigger one here. Looks like it confirmed somewhere right in there. That move right there, which is that rally there. That makes sense. So, but markets breaking out, higher lows, higher highs, looking pretty good. And on the break of this trend line, of course, our rule is hunted W on the other side of the trend line. So any kind of bullish structure over here, you could justify getting long. Indicators are still pointing up. Things don't look bad. Willie was actually, yep, there we are, stupidly oversold. So, we're going to climb the wall of worry. Tough trade in here. Not going to say, you're not coming in at cheap levels. Indicators still pointing up, volume still pointing up, momentum still pointing up, but Willie now actually, as we're starting to get up into here, you can see Willie's getting stupid. We're not allowed to buy once Willie gets stupid like that. So actually interesting how Willie got stupid on the push against this trend line. You had to let that clean itself up, so that's what this backing off was, and back and forth and back and forth. W's start to come back. So here we go on the other side of the trend line, sets up the rally as soon as we get stupidly overbought. Okay, you better cool your jets. And then the coup de grace. Oh, look, there's 8s and 9s on your time to mark. Another sort of good reason to cool your jets. So, that I think explains what happened last year. Now, what about now? Doesn't really look overly one way or the other, to be honest with you. Which kind of sucks. In a really simple analysis, we could say that this, kind of like that same logic that, and really, I don't, that ironically enough, the breakout is still down at these levels. I think at best, I'm going to just say there's your reload zone. I think just to keep it really simple, just draw it off of the whole range. And you notice, see the reload zone, 78.6 is against those lows. Even if I bring this tool back up to that Y-Cop, N-Cop check level, notice 78.6 didn't really move a hell of a lot. So, just by default, we'll do the whole range. Brian, he loves overlapping reload zones for trade locations. So you see how this was an interesting level. I think you can make the argument that this is sort of a overlapping area of buying interest. You got that little one. I guess we can extend this over time. So, it wouldn't surprise me if there is some sort of pivot down here. So, location, okay. Not really cheap, though. Indicator confirmation. We broke out through the trend line. This is where you want your divs to start confirming this big pop. I don't even know whether they really did or not, though, eh? I hate when momentum looks like this. Because usually I like to call this a coil. Well, not usually. I do. I like to call this a coil. Now, I mean, is the coil flat like that? It's tough to say. Anyway you shake it, it sure looks to me like we're building towards some sort of apex. And what usually happens in these kind of coils is you get like a violent move one way and then a huge reaction the other way. Or, and I don't know whether this is, maybe this is it, a violent action one way and then a wicked whipsaw the other way. You might even argue this is a good example of that here. It's not the best example, but for our purposes. So you can see we're coiling. You get huge whipsaws going the other direction. And then this, look at this, woohoo! And then woohoo! And I think that's sort of the final sort of, resolution of this coil. A lot of energy is being built up here. And then unfortunately, this is the release of the energy. No way, no, I can't tell you which way I think this thing's going to go. All I will say is, every way, what are we supposed to think if we ever see the market smiling at us? So clearly there's some technical damage being done here. When I see an image that looks like this momentum-wise, this to me says just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. I don't want to step in front of this until I actually start getting a confirmed bullish or bearish momentum divergence, which is telling me that price is either stronger or weaker than what price would lead you to believe. If you're lucky, this was the violent push to the downside, and then we're going to have our violent push to the upside if you're a bull, of course, right? Not really much to work with in price. As I sort of said earlier, you want to keep this really, really simple. Just show me a W on the other side of this trend line. And fascinating, right? I'm not even making this crap up. All I do is I just take the trend line tool, right? That's the top one here, and I hit this magnet button. And I just say, okay, 1 point, then the next significant peak, and just see where the hell it tells us. And look at this. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, the worst part about it, of course, is what the public is doing right in here. What's the public doing in there, Paul?
Just buying the
top. And they're getting their asses kicked.
Yeah.
So, really, I mean, again, I'm trying to help you. The whole purpose of tonight, put Brian's potty mouth away. Put Brian's obsession with mammary glands away. Put Brian's, whatever. You're here to learn this. That's the whole purpose. Like you sitting on your lunchtime break, enjoying a little fun crypto talk. The interesting thing is it doesn't matter whether this is crypto, whether it's the stocks, whether it's commodities, whether it's currencies. It's all the same damn thing. Don't buy a trendline break like this. You are asking for trouble. And if you are bullish, well, just wait for some sort of W to come in. On the other side, you can see this thing broke it, and then it goes in and puts in a damn M. Oh, you bastards. So, unfortunately, and of course, it looks like we just made a new low here, right? Yeah. So, this is such a great analogy of capitalism. It breaks your heart to see this. Actually, interesting image if I just leave it like this. If we try to accept outside of value, which is sort of this rally heading up here, and you can see nobody was buying up here. Then we come back down and we start accepting back into value below here. Where should we go according to the statistics? Answer is actually we should trade down to this value low there. And it's also interesting too. The profile ideally wants to be full. And you'll know that your asset is ready to move higher when your volume profile just looks like a brick wall. All filled in, lots of price discovery. We have literally discovered every single level it's been traded to, and the market has spoken, if you will. So when I look at an image like this, number one, the rule is we probably got to trade back down to value low. But what also kind of jumps out at me is this area needs some attention. And we often call this a muak, which in sort of slang Spanish stands for kiss. Because, this area's got to be filled in on the profile down there. And then, of course, 78.6, you know how much Brian loves that level. And this is drawn off of the whole range, so I don't mind that. And also, too, there's probably a bunch of trap bears down in that tail right there. If we do get back down into that level, I'm sure they would be more than happy to try and buy all their positions back and cover that bad trade. So, put it all together, awfully tough for me to get bullish of this just as of yet. Okay, so I think we'll leave it at that for tonight. Let's put... Actually, right there. Let's put that there. So I've circled the 78.6 and the MUOC and the trend line. Why don't we even say, can I please get a W over here? Then we're rock and roll. But for now, I can't really do much. I'll say trade location. Okay. Indicator confirmation? No. Willie is stupid. So if you want to note down in the spreadsheet that it's way too late to be a seller, but we don't really have any momentum signals to actually suggest this is bullish yet. And lastly, of course, we have no price structure. Okay, why don't we leave it at that? Hope you guys enjoyed the offering. I will say not much to work with yet. We didn't do too many tonight, but hey, at least we got some progress here. Paul, did you enjoy participating with us tonight?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. There's Great Dull Moody. Hope you got some value out of that. Always good to see him on the free shows. Maybe one day we'll convince him to join the site. Who knows? Ben, what do you think? Did you have a good evening chatting crypto here tonight with us?
Yeah, always a pleasure, always informative.
Awesome.
So,
oh, that's cool.
yeah.
All right, so I think we'll leave it at that. Closing thoughts? Paul, anything on your mind that you'd like to remind the good public?
Just don't buy up markets.
Okay, there you go. Just that simple, folks. And Ben, the mastermind of the crypto TRI Crypto Countdown app. Any closing thoughts for these good people to ponder over the coming week?
No, nothing in particular. I think don't buy up markets is a good one to double down on.
All right, double down. There you
Double
go.
down.
Double down for those double D's. All right, everybody. I'll just remind you all that actually the reason why we're doing this video broadcast is I want to have sort of these free educational videos just running 24/7 in Decentraland. Interestingly enough, as the sort of crypto market is coming back down to earth, I think we should be able to, over the coming, say, year or so, get that booth up and running and have those videos just constantly playing 24/7, which I think would be great free educational content for the public, and people sitting in Decentraland can just sit and learn how TA works in this space. So if you did find some value in the broadcast, we'd love to have participation. Feel free to help us out in that mission. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Ben's bell, and Colleen as well. Thank you very much, Paul, for joining us here this evening. And of course, thank you, Ben, as always. Suppose the only other thing that we should probably touch on is, do we want to make grand predictions for this coming week? Dun, dun, dun. What do you think we're going to do here? Ben actually was the winner this past week, so why don't we let Ben go first? What do you think is going to happen here this coming week, Ben? Big rally, big face rip, or a big nothing?
I'm going to go with the breadth here and say 1.
All right. So we will get a positive rating. Whoops. There we go. And 1 is, what's orange? 1 is yellow. All right. All right. Come sit next to me, you fine fellow. Paul! What do you think we're going to do here this week? You're going to go...
I will try 2.
Oh, super bullish, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Crypto tastes great. Big green. This was Nick. Nick, if you are watching later on, you feel like popping in, we'll say in absentia. I think that's how you say it. Does he give a vote in absentia? I don't know, but we'll just leave it as clear for now. But if he feels like, if you want to participate, Nick, feel free. And then Brian, what the hell's Brian gonna say here? God, Brian. Where is my favorite Bitcoin cycle chart for weeklies? All right, so what should we be doing here this next week? So we're gonna go through. I guess we just went through our trough. Got a big up, and then another big up. Yeah. Question is, do we have to come down and play with this tail a little bit first? I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with a, believe it or not, I think, what is it? It's April 27th. I think I'm going to go with a 0 because I wouldn't be surprised if we have to dip, but by the time we have our show next week, we'll probably be, in and around this area. So that's what I'm going to vote. Big hurry up and not a heck of a lot of change. All right, guys. I guess that pretty much summarizes our show here. If you want, like I said, and I'll even post the little crypto countdown app. I'll even throw that on the YouTube page. Oh, and I guess the last thing that we should mention, just because it would be a good idea, we have an upcoming school term coming up. So, if you're like Great Del Moody and you can teach yourself, awesome. Just sit in front of these videos, take notes like a son of a gun, and self-teach yourself. All the information is there. If, however, you're like the rest of us, 99.999% of the world, and you need a little bit of guidance as you go through how to set up a trading plan, what are the things that you need in it, what are your considerations, what's your strategic vision, what do you think, guys? Should we respect Jupiter-Saturn crosses now? And interest rate cycle pivots. Oh my God, I can't believe how accurate that was. What do divergences look like? What does market structure look like? What does Willie Stupid look like? What does OBV divergence look like? Well, that's all about our education program. And actually, interestingly enough, Paul here, very, very profitable trader. He's consistently taking the market's money, which is great to see. And I think all Paul has done here is the level 1 program, right? I don't even think he's even done anything more than that right now. So we'll see if we can convince him to introduce himself to the rest of the education program. But if I understand correctly, he's number 1. Are you, let's just call a spade, might as well put your neck in the noose. Are you a profitable trader, Paul?
Yep.
All right. Did you learn in the level 1 program everything that you needed to be a profitable trader?
Yeah. And the rest I learned from daily briefs.
Well, and that's it too. So kind of like Great Del Moody. How many years have you been on the site, Paul?
Yeah, from 2019.
19. So what is this? This is 22. So that's like a good 2-3 years.
Yep.
So, and watches the daily brief religiously. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and take notes.
Yeah. So, it's really a question of how self-motivated you are, I guess. Are you a self-learner, great part about it is I think there's enough content on the YouTube page for those people that are super self-learners. If you need that basic structure and the framework, do like Paul does. And take the level 1 program to set you up with just a nice simple framework to run your small business of trading. And then of course we have there's a million different markets to trade, million different ways to skin the cat. So, right, in fact, today I spent a lot of time talking about bull call spreads in the stock market off of weekly key reversal signals. So for those people that want to learn that kind of very advanced approach to the market, of course, we also do day trading rooms in the futures markets. People who want to get to know the futures industry and how all that works, that's within our sort of more advanced programs. So I guess the point here is that we do have a new school term coming up here for the spring. So if you are interested, be sure to, I think you can sign up for like the wait list right now, if I'm not mistaken. Get on our wait list, or even just come and do the 30-day trial on the site and just click on that link what I showed you and just come and learn. Hey, there's that guy. TA doesn't matter. I don't know. But come on the website and just learn from all the people that have written just absolutely glowing reviews of us over the years. I have to say, this is it's been quite a privilege being able to do all this for you guys. And I can see that we are actually making that positive difference in the world that JoJo wanted me to really do. So, all right, everybody. I think I'll leave the shill at that for today. Of course, also, too, last thing I'll point out, this, I think, now should become industry standard. You can only access this with a site membership. We don't give this stuff away for free. It costs us way too much time and money to develop and build all these tools to give it away for free, so we don't. But I will say this should become industry standard down the road. So super duper stoked about the website as well and all the wonderful information that we can mine on a daily basis. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. Have yourselves a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, morning. Thank you very much, Paul, for getting up nice and early in the morning and helping us out. Good luck in your day trading. Guess your day's just getting going. My day is going to be winding down here soon. Thank you very much, Ben, for being such an awesome co-host, hanging in here while the others are fading slowly away. I hope we get to hold on to you for a little while. And Ben's actually captain of the spreadsheet now, so this is his baby, along with the crypto app. So thank you very much, Ben, for your assistance there as well. All right, everybody, have yourselves a great day. Paul, probably our new show participant, and I want to hear some emotion here, buddy. The only thing left for us to say here tonight is...
Bye for now. Bye for now, everybody.
All right. Take it easy, everyone. All the best. Bye for now. Bye. Ben, you got to throw in a bye. You just got to say bye.
Oh, bye.
All right. Giggle, giggle. Bye, everybody.